Singles Only podcast time. My name is Paul Farahvar. I am your host. This is another fun episode. No voice of reason because we're still in a pandemic and we can't really do live shows right now, or live podcast recordings, if you will, with three people in a room indoors. This is done via Zoom with comedian Netra. She was in Houston. I was in Chicago. This was fun. I think this is the last one of the year. So thank you so much for supporting Singles Only Podcast. If you're new to the podcast, please subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star rating if you haven't already. And if you're not new, hey, thanks. We made it another year of being single. Probably a lot of you guys have been single and then not single and then still listening to it. I don't know. I don't know what your background is. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you think, what episodes you want to hear in the upcoming year. pfarahvar@gmail.com. Also, check out my website, paulfcomedy.com, for updated show dates. I will be performing in Florida for most of January. Check out my other projects. Make Us a Mixtape with Marty DeRosa, a great podcast I love, enjoy so much. Also, Sweet Opinions, available on Instagram with comedian Tristan Triptow. And come see me at a show. Check out my YouTube page. And most importantly, check out our sponsor. By now, you know that I'm a lawyer, right? Everyone does. And I don't really practice anymore, although I still have a license. But when I need a lawyer, and I do often need a lawyer, I contact my friend Scott Shapiro. If you're injured on the job or need compensation, you're entitled to payment for more than you know. A lot of times, companies will try to settle with you so you don't get a lawyer because they don't want you to know all the monies you're entitled to. Scott Shapiro has been helping injured workers for over 20 years. In addition, his firm handles multiple other cases, including personal injury cases and entertainment law issues. He has handled a lot of my entertainment stuff as well as those of guests on the show and listeners. So you need a lawyer, sure, you can consult me. But if you want a free consultation from the best, don't take any chances. Contact my friend, Scott Shapiro. His number, 312-648-8800, or check out his website, scottshapirolegal.com. There are other Scott Shapiros. Make sure you call the right one, 312-648-8800, or scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you, and he will be very happy. It's time for another edition of Singles Only Podcast. My name is Paul Farahvar. I'm your host. We are doing this podcast via Zoom, so if you're listening, wherever you're listening, you can go and check us out in person. This is the way of the world right now. There's no voice of reason. It's just going to be me and our guest, the hilarious, bring in right now, one of my favorite comedians to watch in Chicago, comedian Netra.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
For those of you that didn't see it, she just popped in from the San Francisco Bay, Golden Gate.
Yes. Anything else would be uncivilized. San Fran it is.
You goddamn right. I've been trying to get you on this podcast, and you were never single. And then
right.
I get a message that you're single, and then within a minute, I'm like, let's do this. Let's do this shit.
Yeah. I'm so happy to be back. I got in a relationship and then the pandemic happened. So I like to think that I've released my cooch back to the world for 2021 and the pandemic will come to a close.
I think you're right. I think these are all good things. How long was this relationship that you had?
2 years.
Right. Okay. That's a long time.
It is. It is.
9 months that was in a pandemic. Right.
Well, you know what? When we had just moved in together when the pandemic hit. Okay. So, we had literally like 2 months of bliss, and then reality set in, and it's like, oh my God, I feel like he is my cellmate. Like we are in prison, yo. Like we were in a studio apartment, and the only way I could get away was go to the bathroom. Like we each spent a lot of time in the bathroom.
You were in a studio apartment?
Yes.
2 months of non-pandemic, and then the rest was during the pandemic.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
survived for, that's a long time to survive. And then,
That is. You
okay,
know, I had to move back to Texas to break up. I was like, listen, I'm going crazy. I'm pretty sure I'm driving you crazy. I'm moving back to Texas. And he's like, are we breaking up? I'm like, yeah. Don't you want to break up?
well, you were already in Texas for longer though, right?
I'm originally from Texas.
No, I
So
know, but you came back by yourself to the pandemic. How long? Like recently?
yeah, I just
Okay.
moved back in November.
Okay. And that's what caused the breakup.
Pretty much, yeah. I had to
Okay.
wait till the lease was up first. You know, we didn't have small kids. We did have a year lease, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? A little 10-month lease. So I had to wait till that exhausted. And then he was like, well, it's time to renew. And I was like, well, let's talk about
Okay.
that.
So this was your call. Was he caught off guard, you think, or no?
Absolutely. You know, he didn't think like we didn't end on bad terms. Like literally the pandemic, like this was my first time. I'm 42 years old. My first time living with the man.
Okay.
That I'm telling you, that's why the pandemic happened because I tried to act right, and that's not what the cards are for. I am supposed to be a woman of the of the people.
Good of the people. Okay. Wait, so you've never lived with before you dated this guy, were you living alone or with other friends or you were solo?
I was solo. I had roommates while I was in Chicago,
Okay.
but that's it. You know, I was by myself and met this guy at the comedy bar after a show,
Wow.
and yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So it's like I turned a groupie into a main piece. You know what I'm saying? So
All your set and then he came up to you and was
yeah.
like, "What's up?" All right.
After my set about oral sex, he was like, "Nice to meet you."
That's awesome. Great work. So that last wow, okay, so um were you dating other people like just in like not seriously 2 years ago when you started dating this guy, or was it just like this was out of nowhere you all of a sudden became in a relationship?
It just kind of happened out
Okay.
of the blue because I had was in 2 years in living in Chicago, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I think it's time for me to move back home because I was lonely, kind of. You know, I was having to fly back to Texas for penis. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, I'm over the Southwest $50 flight, puss. So so I ended up meeting him, and then shoot, we were inseparable. Like from day one.
Were you staying at his place and he was staying at your place and then you guys just decided let's
Well,
do
I was living in the suburbs and he was living in the city.
oh
So since I was living in the suburbs, like an hour and 25 minutes outside of Chicago,
Jesus Christ, that's like
he
a that's longer than a Southwest $50 pussy flight.
right. That right, the commute back and forth. The flight to Houston is 3 hours. Commuting
Okay,
back and forth from Elgin to Chicago was a
dear
flight to
God.
Houston.
Yeah.
So he never just wanted me to drive home late. You know what I'm saying? So he's always be like, stay at my place, stay at my place, stay at my place. So it just kind of happened that way.
And then did you move into his place or you guys went in and found a new place together?
We went and found a new place together because him and his cousin had an apartment together.
Oh,
So
gotcha. Okay.
yeah. So I was like, I'm tired of driving back and forth. He was like, I don't want you driving back and forth. Okay, boom, let's get a place. And that's how we did it.
What was the longest relationship you had before this 2 year thing?
So this is my first real life adult relationship.
Okay.
Like I was in a relationship from 16 to 22. And then after that is when the garden tool years started.
The garden tool?
Yes.
What explain?
Okay. Well, let me do a shameless plug real quick. I have a podcast called Confessions of a Garden Tool.
Okay.
So when people hear garden tool, they automatically think hoe, but I've broken it down a little bit. Like the woman is the garden and the man is the tool, and when they get together, that's when they hoe. So on this podcast, we talk about funny sexual experiences or funny dating experiences.
Okay.
So I got 20s, 30s was garden tool extraordinaire. Like I was had a good time, you know what I'm saying? And then I met him when I was 40 and I got locked down by a 30-year-old. boom.
The dude that this boy was 30 years old.
He was 9 years my junior. Yeah.
Damn, good work,
Yep.
Netra. Okay.
Hey, listen, you know what? That 30-year-old penis hit different when you're 40.
How so?
It's just longevity, and he's a Chicago guy. Chicago guys love to sex you down to some R. Kelly. So I'm just glad I was over age, but I can still get my groove on to R. Kelly.
Have you hooked? Are you, as a guy in his 40s? I want to know more about the differential between a 30-year-old dick and a man that's in his 40s. What are the
Well,
issues?
in the 40s, most black men are on blood pressure medicine, so they probably got to pee before you have sex, you know what I'm saying, or pee right after, maybe you have to pee during sex because
What does the peeing have to do with it?
because blood pressure pills are diuretics, and most black men over 40 are on blood pressure medicine. Most black people over 40 are on blood pressure medicine. So
I mean, I go pee before sex usually too, but I don't know if I never thought of it as a
now that now that I brought it to your attention, you're gonna be like, oh, my old weenus has to go pee again.
She's gonna think I'm taking blood. I'll be back. Just so you know, I'm not taking any blood medicine. I just had to go to the bathroom.
You're not black either.
Are you only hooking up with black dudes?
Now, yes. I mean, when I first moved to Chicago and I was on Tinder, the only thing in 100-mile radius was suburban white men. So I tried it, and it was certainly garden material.
You're like talking about the way you talk about it. It's like, well, it's like I tried it. Like it's like a different menu item at like Burger King. You're like, well, I had to try it. So
it really is. Like black men are like seasoned catfish. Mexican men, you got like a nice enchilada dinner. White men is like spinach and artichoke dip.
Hummus? No, that's Persian dick. Okay. So you were on Tinder in the suburbs of Chicago in Elgin before you met this guy, and you were matching with. It was hard to match with other black dudes, or
I mean, it was very few far in between. Like especially being in the suburbs. Like I'm telling you, 100 miles. It was crazy. But when I would log on the app in Chicago, it was always a black dude in his mom's basement. Like, what up? I got this dick. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no, I'd rather kick it with Brian and his dog and drink wine.
Are you for the ages on these things? What was your requirements on age stuff on the Tinder apps?
At least 30, like 33, a minimum. You have to be at least the Jesus age, a minimum of 33.
Okay.
And between like 33 and 55.
So you were you were going out with guys in their 50s too?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's that? Were they of different races over 50?
They were made like I hooked up with a couple of white guys, and then I ended up boyfriending the black guy that I ended up dating, but I didn't meet him on Tinder. But the white guys, like I dated the younger white guys, and I realized, okay, that's not what I want at all. The younger white guys it's a different dynamic of beer cans, roommates, and
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, no.
Well,
but the other ones, huh?
The guy you ended up with had a roommate. He was living with his cousin.
Right.
Which isn't probably really his cousin either. So we don't.
No, it was. It's his blood cousin. They have their moms or sisters.
Okay, fine. So what's the difference between him and these young white guys who had roommates?
The dick.
Okay.
The administration of the dick.
Like this 30-year-old guy knew how to administer dick versus the 30-year-old white guy with his computer, like his Sega and
right,
whatever. Okay,
he's rubbing my nipples like they're gaming cubes or something. Like he's playing a game. Like I don't listen, Skylar. Please don't rub my nipples like you're gaming. Okay,
cube rubbing. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so that and were they smaller penises then too? I assume.
Yes, very much so smaller. I did, I've dated a white guy. I dated a wigger in my 20s.
Okay.
And I learned that white men have aggressive penis, like they're really aggressive. It's vigorous. I can appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
You mean
So
like
I just also noticed like
what do you mean vigorous? It was just harder?
like their thrust is different. Like black men like kind of long stroke the dick. I don't know if that's because they can.
Okay.
And like the white boys, like once they got it in there, they weren't taking it out. It was just like you know, continuous
All pounding. Okay. Yeah.
vigorous thrust.
Well,
Jackrabbit-ish.
the older guys probably weren't as vigorous, I'm assuming.
The older, yes, they were.
Oh,
They
really? Okay.
they were more aggressive. Like, you ever been in a situation where you didn't realize you didn't know if you liked being choked or not? It was like, I think I'm into this shit. I hope I don't end up on the episode of Snaps.
The older white guy was into choking?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And he liked being choked. So
Oh, okay. That's pretty badass.
so it's like I'm on top and we're choking each other.
Okay. That's kind of crazy. Were you okay? So the guys with the white guys with the vigorous thrusting, that was it consistently that they were smaller than the men with the black penis, or is that just a myth?
It is not a myth. I mean, unfortunately, I had an encounter with a white man and a penis pump, and that was psycho. That's an episode of Confessions of a Garden Tool about my encounter with this penis pump.
Found it?
I wasn't, huh?
You found it? Encounter? You mean it was like in a closet and you found it, or?
Well, he took me to a sex shop. And he told me I can get what I wanted, and he was gonna get something. So I didn't know that's what he was getting.
Oh,
you know, I was like, okay, since he's buying, I'm gonna get this expensive ass vibrator, you know. And he was like, he wasn't tripping. I didn't see what he got, and I put my stuff on the counter and I walked off to make sure he didn't think I was gonna buy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was like, here you go, I'll be over here waiting for you, you know. And we got back to the spot, and you know, he's in the bathroom, and I'm like, what is going on? And I keep hearing like a sound, like a hissing.
Okay.
And he comes out of the
back home, not at the sex shop. That would be
right. Yeah, no, that's a different story.
So you hear him, the
pumping it up.
Yeah.
And he comes out the bathroom and his boxes are protruded, and it was the thickest, nubbiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Like, you ever see those little 4-ounce little Coke cans? It's like slender and it's kind of
okay. Wait, was this the first time you guys had sex, or this was?
Yes,
okay,
the first and only time.
So he got a pump for this occasion.
Yep.
Did he tell you why? Is this why he did this? Was he like intimidated, or were you?
I don't know. We didn't really discuss that, you know. Like, my name on all the apps was Netra spelled backwards. So they thought my name was Arten.
Okay. So they probably thought you were Indian or something.
No, he knew I was black. He was like, Arten, what kind of name is that? I was like, I don't know. My mom came up with it.
Oh, you didn't even reveal. Okay.
I mean, I wasn't gonna tell them that, like, you know,
sure.
It's kind of weird, like dating and trying to be a comic and all, you know what I'm saying? It's a weird dating dynamic with men. So
these guys that you were matching on, even if you went out with them a second time, they didn't know your name even.
Nope. Arten was my name.
Oh my God. Okay. So during this choke out session, was he calling you Arten, or was names weren't used?
Names were not used.
Okay.
They were not used. So I don't know if it's because we didn't remember each other's name technically.
Okay. So there's so many questions I have at this moment. I'm just trying to focus because you're throwing so much shit out here that's important. Okay. So when you were going on these apps, when you lived in Elgin, Illinois, you were just going to hook up. You were just looking for hook up, nothing serious.
I wasn't going to hook up. I was new in a new city and I was broke. So I was trying to get free meals. Like, dudes would invite me out. Let's go get a coffee. Let's go get a scone. Let's go get gelato. Let's go have dinner. So my first year in Chicago, I gained 25 pounds.
from all these dating.
From all this, my friends were calling me a meal hustler. They were like, you're a meal hustler. You're just going out with men for food. I was like, so
you go on the meals, and then at that point you would decide if there was some sort of attraction. And on that same date, you would hook up with these guys, or
sometimes, yeah.
okay. Sometimes you'd have to like be like, all right, you're gonna try to get a couple more meals out of it before
Yep.
they get to see the action. Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough. Now, going back to the guys that you were matching with, were you discriminating on any basis other than, you said 33 to 55? Because you were realistically, you didn't know anyone. Were you just saying yes to anyone that hooked up with you, or were you like some requirements?
No, pretty much. If they were like, hey, let's meet up, and then it was like a food spot, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, because what it is now, guys got kind of privy to what women are doing. So now they're not like trying to take you to dinner. They're like, oh, let's meet at this candy shop. And if they buy you $6 worth of gummy bears, they not tripping, as opposed to taking you to Red Lobster. So, dudes would come up, they'd be like, let's go get a coffee. Okay, who drinks coffee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? Not Black people, but hey, I'll go. I'm going to get a big ass coffee, and I'm not even going to drink it in front of you. Like, and then at that point, conversation, huh?
Save it for the next morning.
Sometimes I go into the next date drinking the coffee. How about that?
Fair enough. Okay. So did you ever find guys that you actually liked to hang out with this way?
No.
Okay.
You know what? Every time it's like, I felt like I should be dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, suburban Chicago, and it's like, they're like, hey, come to my crib. And it's like, a part of me is like, no, don't go. And then a part of me is like, YOLO, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the whole time I'm in the apartment or in the house, like looking skeptical, like, okay, if he tries something, I'm gonna hit him in the head with this lamp. Or I didn't want to be an episode of Snap.
Sure. Okay. But so other than the apps and the meal hustling you were doing, did you go out with how else were you meeting people if you weren't focused on the food stuff and not knowing anyone? Were you meeting other people organically anyway?
No, comedy shows, that's it. That's all I did. I worked for Lyft and I did comedy. So between those two, Lyft, Tinder, and comedy, that was all the social activity I had.
What about before you moved to Chicago? What about in Houston? Were you
Yo, I was a hot girl. I had to move to Chicago. This puss had miles on it. Like, I had to take a break. And these weren't highway miles, Paul. These were hood miles. Like, I was like, girl, you got to go.
Okay, how long were you in Houston? You lived there other than Chicago? That's where you lived?
Yep.
And was it, when you were in Houston, was it the situation where you were meeting people that you already knew, or your reputation in Houston? I mean, that's a big city. You couldn't have fucked your way through that whole city.
Confessions of a Garden Tool. Listen, it is a big city, you know what I'm saying? And, like the community is small, especially about Black people. We go to the same clubs, we go to the same, you end up finding out you went to school with this person, you went to college with this person, they know this person. So, a lot of people, just in passing, you know what I mean? So, and then doing stand-up, men are trying to buy you drinks, you know what I'm saying? So after you said, let me buy you a drink, and bam, you go from there.
Were you only, before you moved to Chicago, you only hooked up with Black dudes then?
I dated a couple of Hispanic guys, but I'm the queen of the 60-day relationship. Like about day 58, I start feeling overwhelmed and start ghosting,
Sure. Oh, so, that's where you end it? You just ghost them?
Yeah, I start ghosting, coming up with.
Why do you think it is? What happens on this 58th day that
I don't know. I just think, what it is? Men have a tendency because, they know I do stand up. And so they're like, oh, she's going to be gone. She's going to be doing all this stuff and all that. So it's, that was just one of the things. Like, I could be in the city and it'd be like, yeah, I'm in Detroit. They will never know. You know what I'm saying? So it was easy to move around. It was so easy. It was, my thing was, I start an argument with the dude that I kick it with. Like, I'd be at their house for a couple of days, start an argument so I can leave and be gone for like a week or two and be like, I'm just giving you room to calm down. But really and all, I'm kicking it somewhere else.
So the strategy is you start an argument, get them worked up, and be like, I'm gonna let you calm down, and then you ghost them.
I take after my dad, man. I take after my dad.
Fair enough. Did you how are you meeting these guys? You were meeting them at clubs and through friends and stuff. What about other
Yep.
comedians? Did you ever hook up with other comedians or anything like that?
Comedians never were my thing. It was like one of those things. You may meet a comic and y'all vibe so hard mentally, but as a woman, you have to think about it. Like, in my eyes, I want to be the only one to talk shit about my sex on stage. Yeah. I'm not fixing to make your career take off because of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no.
So what are the guys that you're looking for? Let's put aside the meal hustling for a second. What are the guys, what are you looking for now? You've been in a relationship for 2 years with a guy a lot younger than you. Would you do that again? Would you date a younger guy, or did you learn that you can't do that anymore?
I learned I don't dating a younger guy is fine, but I'm looking more so of longevity. Like, I want to get married eventually, preferably somebody who has a PPO health insurance, because I don't have health insurance, so I'm looking for a husband and insurance. But I've opened my mind. Like, before, in my 20s, 30s, I did not date men with kids.
Okay.
I didn't want that responsibility of having to deal with a man every other weekend and then having to get to know their kid. I did not date men with kids. Yeah. But now I'm 42. I have to date men with kids now. Like, I'm even open to a man that's a grandpa nowadays. Men are grandpas in their 40s,
But you don't want your own kids.
No, no.
What about ethnicity wise? Are you only gonna marry a black dude, or are you open to other ethnicities? What else have you tried besides Hispanic, white, and black?
Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern? You've gone to okay.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I was going to school in Louisiana, and my cousin had a barbershop, and the dude and his cousins used to come in, and I forgot where they were from, but he had gorgeous fucking hair. That's how I fell in love with him. Yeah. He had gorgeous, it wasn't gray though.
All right, settle down.
But he had gorgeous hair. My aunt used to cut his hair all the time, and I would always flirt. And he's new to the United States, so he wasn't 100% sure if I was flirting.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
He had an accent and everything?
He had an accent and everything. And he just was so beautiful to me. I was like, and he was darker than me. Oh my God. I was like, we'd have some of the blackest, beautifulest babies. Like, oh my God, I was in love. And my mom was like, yeah, his family ain't gonna let that happen. So there was a culture barrier. He was new to the country, and so he wasn't up to date on the United States hygiene.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, but I still liked him though. I was like, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. I was wearing masks in the early 2000s.
The mask saved a lot of people. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've experienced that. So you've had all the United colors of Benetton. What? So you're open to dating a guy who has kids. You don't care. You just need health insurance. What is it going to be? A black guy? Do you see yourself marrying a black guy?
Most likely, he will be black. That's mainly my genre of Peen is black. But yeah, I'm open. Like, I would love for a white man to sweep me off my feet and get Kamala Harris. I would love to get Gabby Sidibe. I would love to have a white man be like, come here, my beautiful Aunt Jemima, and kiss me,
So, yeah, I think her husband's a Jewish lawyer, right?
See,
that's
the type of white man I want. Like, I'm talking like the white guy that wears like his sunglasses on the back of his neck type shit, Whereas in Texas, I have a thing for white men in ostrich skin boots. That is so fucking sexy to me.
Seriously?
Yes, some black men do a lot. You can tell a man who's in the oil and gas industry by that ostrich skin boot.
Oh, sure, yeah. The boots. Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so since you've been in Houston now for a month or so, right?
Yes.
Have you met dudes there? I mean, you guys are wide open there, right? There's no
Yeah, we're about 75, 80% open. I haven't met anybody because I haven't been going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But, like doing a recent photo shoot and stuff, and old flames see pictures you post and they're like, "Oh, I see you back in town," type stuff. But I don't want to go backwards. Like, I left y'all 4 years ago. That's where y'all gonna stay.
Yeah, but it's just a little Peen medication to get you through the times, the COVID time.
Well, I mean, even though me and the boy are broken up, flights to Chicago was round trip like $60. Like,
So you guys are
it,
still kind of every once in a while getting it in.
we haven't got it in since we broke up, but we still talk. Like, we're still friends.
Okay,
Like,
fair enough.
the distance broke up the relationship. That was pretty much the most of it. My sanity, that was a problem too, but the distance, like the reality of, like, seriously, you're like, I can't see myself flying back and forth to Chicago between January and like April. Like, that's not feasible. So all the snow.
But would you agree that you leaving to go back was also kind of like your 60-day thing? It was just delayed. Like, did you kind of sabotage that relationship, you think, or no? Or
I
you
think I kind of did, because being literally locked in the house with somebody for a
Sure.
long period of time, like, I'm not working, I'm at home all day. He's a teacher, so he was working from home. It's not like I could go in the other room while he's
Yeah.
teaching the class. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't go outside. Comedy's at a standstill. Like, you know, the comedy scene in Chicago was like my outlet. You know what I'm saying? So now
Yeah.
that's all being stripped from me. I kind of felt like I was on like a ongoing series of the movie Misery. Like, every day I woke up with this man and I'm just like, please don't let him kill me or me kill him or something.
Well, the quarantine accelerated a lot of relationships for better or for worse. I mean, being 9 months of if you survived 9 months of a quarantine, you come on the other side of that. Whether you're 2 months in a relationship or 20 years, like you guys, like you're meant to be. Like that's impossible. I mean, I couldn't imagine living with someone for that long. And you were in a studio, close quarters. I mean, that's fucking kudos to you for lasting as long as you did. But
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know how things would have been better. I mean, like, I had already been talking about coming back to Houston because the Chicago weather is so hard on my body. That's like, you know, that was just my thing. And every year I was like, I'm going home, and I never went home.
yeah,
And I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance. Break free.
yeah. I mean, for years I would book all my shows in warm climates from November through February. In March I have Arizona every year, so it's like fuck this because I mean I've been in Chicago my whole life, and as
Ooh.
you get older you can't deal with that shit anymore. I'm going to Florida later, so I'll be done here as well. But yeah, it's hard. But so if you're gonna stay in Houston, you're gonna have to meet this dude there, right?
I mean, Southern dudes are always the best. I enjoy them. You know, Chicago men was a different type of man, so I can appreciate that. But I miss my Southern hospitality fellas. I miss their grimy grit. You know,
Yeah. Well,
but
what about the fact that you want to get married eventually? Like, is that going to play a role here? I mean, he's got all he has
um,
to do is have insurance. What if it's a white dude with ostrich shoes?
but if he has ostrich shoes, I'm sure he has health insurance.
Yeah, of course. So that's
I'm
you could
with
end
it.
up with a white
I can be
oil man.
Netra Tchaikovsky, Netra Weinberg.
Yeah, it can
I'm
work.
with it. I'm with it. You know.
Not a lot of Jewish men wearing ostrich boots in Houston, I imagine.
True. I'm just looking for the little short, balding ones. If I'm, each genre of men has their own thing that I'm attracted to.
Okay.
Like, if it was a Jewish guy, I'd want him to be short, kind of like the husband that on Sex in the City that Charlotte married, the little lawyer. He was
Okay.
balding, a little pudgy. Like, that would be my Jewish guy. My white guy, he I want him to be outdoorsy, but not outdoorsy to the fact that he could bury my body on his land, like Carol Baskin type.
Right. He's got a truck of some sort, but he's also
A truck in ostrich skin boots is the number one thing for my white man.
he's a hunter, and maybe 10 years ago wasn't as open to racial equality, but now he is.
Now he is. He's a liberal now because he found his black sugar.
That is awesome. Okay, so what about a Middle Eastern guy? What's that gonna be? What's that guy gonna be?
He just has to have great hair and great skin. That's the two things with those guys. And be hygienely friendly.
Yeah, deodorant. Sure. That's for sure.
Right.
And then what about the black guy? What's that guy gonna be? He could be anyone.
No, I prefer to date darker skinned guys.
Okay.
I foresee me marrying a man who's a darker skin, definitely tall, because I'm a tall girl. I'm starting to realize I want a man at least 6'5". Like, I feel like 42 years on this earth, I deserve to get that kick. I'm 5'9".
Okay.
So when I wear heels, I'm 6 feet tall.
But the Jewish
so I've
guy
always
can be
kind of towered over my dudes.
Okay, you can tower over the Jewish guy, but all the
hell
others
yeah,
are taller.
You will automatically feel our superpowers when we walk into the room. The Jew and the black. I'm trying to tell you.
The entertainment industry, yeah.
Already.
Okay, so we got the height measurements, we got the styles of guys. What about jobs? Like, as long as they have health insurance, you don't care what they do, hours of work, what does that matter?
Long as they're taking care of me.
So
yeah, they can't be a comedian. They can be like an entertainment lawyer or something if they're going to be in the industry. But, just something that allows me to be kept.
Okay. But
I don't care if it's drugs. I don't care if it's.
What if they're working 9 to 5 jobs and you're working, 7 to 10? I mean, you're not going to see this guy.
That's fine. That's how a lot of relationships last longer.
Right.
Because they're not underneath each other like that. Like, I think I wouldn't have moved back to Texas so willy-nilly after 4 years if the pandemic wouldn't have hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would have still been doing shows. I would have still been doing my networking. I had just joined 2 comedy agencies. You know what I'm saying? So it was working for us to meet up at the house at 11 p.m. or whenever I get home. He would come to shows too. And the shows that I produced, he would DJ for me. So, I incorporated him. He got to go to work. If mama is at work, daddy got to go to work too.
Right. And what about a long distance thing? Why not, now that you got the distance and the cheaps, you got the $50 Southwest puss flight, you can still do that, and maybe this will work out. Or no, you're making a face. Well, or not, maybe not with this guy, but what if you end up coming back to Chicago and you marry this Jewish lawyer who's 5'7", ostrich boots. He's a lawyer, entertainment lawyer in Houston, but every other weekend you guys hang out, and when you go to his house, he's got a room for you, and he's got a nice house. It's not a studio. It's in the the Jewish area of Houston. What is that? 3 houses? I don't know.
I just think that with all of that, like, long distance is harder than you think it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, with me and my guy, even though we broke up, like, before we broke up, we would still have wake and bake via Duo or like Zoom, we would still have date night. We used to have date night. So we would watch a movie on Zoom. He would share the screen. My ex is a tech nerd. So, he was trying to keep things going with the Zoom nights and the wake and bakes via Zoom, and, a lot of video chatting, eating the hell out of my data, Lord.
Yeah. So you said wake and bake. So what about this guy's got to also be smoker, or no?
I would prefer my husband to not be a smoker.
Why is that?
Because I'm a smoker. I don't want to share my COVID unemployment blunts. Like, he can drink his COVID Hennessy or whatever, but let mama do her own smoking, Somebody has to be productive out of the two.
Didn't Chance the Rapper talk about same drugs and how you guys got, and then Chris Rock had a bit about it. You guys got people have to be doing the same. You got to have the same drug
Vices.
same page.
I can see that. I can see that. However, I just noticed that weed is a gateway drug to fucking.
Yeah, it sure
It's
is.
a gateway drug. Like people don't even date
everything?
anymore.
Is it
Nobody dates. They're like, I got some loud, bring some cigars. And then next thing you know, y'all are kicking it, watching TV, laughing, drinking, smoking, and then y'all fuck. Like relationships. And to be honest, that's how my guy got me. He always had bomb ass weed. Okay. Always had bomb ass weed. And then he gave me an ultimatum and he was like, listen, we've been kicking it. I'm trying to take it to the next level. And I'm like, slow down. Like, let's just get to know each other. He was like, oh, we can get to know each other, but I feel like I'm already there. So either you need to catch up or get left behind. And I was like, wait a minute.
When you were doing these meal hustling dates, were guys being like, hey, do you want to go back and get high? And was that also incorporated?
Okay. A lot of times they would either bring it with them. So like I'll never forget, I went on a date in Aurora. We went to, it was like a wine festival.
Sure.
And he was like, do you smoke? I was like, yeah. He was like, man, I brought. And the thing about white people is they like those little one hitters. I don't like that. That's like that's one tooth away from crack. You know what I'm saying? Like you should have rolled a joint or something. I don't like we both hit. No, let's roll a joint. So
you don't want to share a hitter with a guy? I don't get it.
It feels so crystal methish to have the glass up on my teeth and my lips. I don't want that feeling.
They have wooden ones too, but okay.
I don't want a splinter in my lip. No. Let's just roll this joint and keep it moving.
Yeah, but then you get really fucked up if it's good weed.
True. That's how I end up coming off with the puss. It's kind of like, fuck it, I'm here now. Like I drove 30, 40 minutes.
Maybe you should stick to the one hitter so you can slow down the puss, the giving out of the puss of the.
Nah. That's what God designed it for.
Netra, we're out of time. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Seriously, I'm so glad you did the podcast. We finally got to do it. We're gonna have to get you back on because I know there's gonna be people asking about the differences in all the peen that you had, the genre of peen that you described. and I know I didn't get into the conversations. I have so many more questions about that, but we'll talk again. I know you got to go and get your weed man as well. I don't want to.
Yeah. Try not to give him no ass while I'm over there.
Try not to. Yes. Let us know what happens. Where can people find you and your podcast and find out more about what you're doing and stuff?
Yeah. So Instagram, my podcast is Confessions of a Garden Tool, and it's also available on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those. And my personal IG is Miss Already, MSALREADY. That's where I'm mainly at. So just hit me up on those two. Confessions of a Garden Tool. We are always filming, recording episodes, and I'm learning it's a process. This podcast and stuff is off the chain. So So I'm excited about that. The Confessions of a Garden Tool was supposed to be a book, but my ADD is not that great. So podcasting is it's easier to talk it out than to write it down.
You gotta find a entertainment lawyer who can get that shop, that Jewish husband of yours that you're gonna have.
Oh, speaking into existence, Paul. Come on, Jesus.
It's not Jesus, it's Moses, I think.
Oh wait, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know. Can I still eat bacon? Do Jewish people eat bacon?
Eat bacon.
Okay, I would just have to. Okay, I can do without bacon.
Yeah, you got to give up.
I don't know how a yarmulke would fit on my wigs.
Oh, they don't have. I think the women don't have to wear those.
The women don't have to wear them. Okay, good. Okay, well,
you're fine. You can do it.
Okay, I think I can handle it. He's marrying Aunt your mama. He know damn well I don't know shit about his culture. I can make you pancakes, baby.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Netra, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening or watching another episode of Singles Only Podcast. Please go subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and check out Netra's podcast as well.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Before I succumbed to the pressures of getting Netflix and Hulu, I was an avid reader. I still am, but I'm behind on my books. I used to read a bunch of books, mostly memoirs, biographies, nonfiction stuff. And as you all know, one of my favorite books is Perfect Peen by Paul Farahvar, a good friend of mine. It's an awesome memoir and it's a true story about how he fled Iran as a child and lived up this perfect life that we all are sold as a multimillionaire, successful businessman, but he had underlying pain and issues that he had not resolved. And this is what he did on his journey. It's an amazing book. I can't tell you how awesome it is. If you haven't read it already, I strongly recommend it. And I still have some free books to give away too. So for you listeners, subscribers, if you give us a 5-star review, I will send you a free book. I've got about 7 left right now. And it's a great book, perfectpeen.com, available on Amazon. It has been discounted because he wants to get rid of his batch of books. Perfectpeen.com, or go to Amazon, get the book. And if you've read the book already, give him a review too. We want to give him the Farahvar bump. Perfectpeen.com by Paul Farahvar, or message me and I can maybe send you a book for the right price for free. No, I'm just kidding. Perfectpeen.com.
I'm still standing on my feet together.